All right, this little thing is on dividing fractions, but before I do that, many students that I work with struggle with fractions. This is true for a lot of kids in middle school. One of the main reasons that fractions are so difficult is just a general weakness with math facts. If you want to be good at fractions, you have to be able to multiply and divide rapidly, and you have to be able to do that accurately. So that kid who can only do 5 facts in a minute, they struggle. The kid who can do 20 facts in a minute, they struggle. That's not fast enough. The kids who do best with math facts can do about 30 facts in a minute. Another common problem that we see with students who struggle with fractions is just the memory issues, that they confuse the different rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions. Now, with common denominators, you only need those to add and subtract. And since we're focusing on division, you do not need to get a common denominator there. But like I said, many kids will mix this rule up. The last step then, after you've done your calculation with fractions, is you may have to simplify. And to simplify, you have to be very good at division. So these are just 4 broad areas where students who struggle with fractions, these are the main things that cause them to trip up. Well, what we're going to do next is take a look at a couple of division problems, and I'll walk you through those step by step. So I'm going to pause the video and we're going to jump to the next screen. My problem on this screen says 6/8 divided by 1/3. Now, the thing with this is, going back to one of the difficulties, is keeping the rules straight. We never divide fractions, instead we multiply. So here's what I need to do. I'm going to rewrite my 6/8. My division sign changes to multiplication, and then what I do is I flip the second fraction. The fraction I'm dividing by, I use the reciprocal. That's what I meant by flip. Okay? Now we can multiply across. So this is what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go 6 times 3, and I'm going to get 18. Do the same thing on the bottom. 8 times 1 is 8. And now, as I look at my answer, I realize, I do have a little bit of problem here. I have a bigger number in the numerator spot than I do in the denominator spot. So I need to simplify things. A couple different ways I can simplify this. I think first of all, I'm going to give myself an easier problem to do. So I'm going to take a 2 out of both of these numbers. I'm going to divide both by 2. I'm still going to have a bigger number on top, but it's going to be an easier problem for my next step. Alright, so when I divide these by 2, I get 9 and 4. Alright, let me show you what the final step in this operation will look like. My problem here says 9 divided by 4. So 9 is going in my box. 4 is on the outside. It's what I'm dividing by. 4 will go into 9 2 times. 9 minus 8 is 1. And now I'm going to show you how to put your answer all together. I'm taking my whole number 2. My fraction, my denominator is 4 because that's the number I'm dividing by. And my leftover piece is the 1. So my answer to this problem is 2 1/4. Okay, you can watch this part of the video again, or you can bear with me because I'm going to pause, and then I will move to the final example and I'll walk you through that one step by step. Here we go with our final example. This one says 1/4 divided by 4/6. Keeping our rules straight, we never divide fractions. Instead we multiply using the reciprocal. So I rewrite my 1/4. I change my division sign to times. Just slow your thinking down a little bit and think, now I need the opposite, so I'm going to use the reciprocal. Reciprocal, some people say you just flip it. So I put my 6 in the numerator spot, my 4 in the denominator spot. Now before I do this, I'm going to show you one other trick that just leads to giving me an easier solution. And I'm going to cross out both of these numbers here. The reason I'm doing that is I can divide both of them by 2. So when I do 6 divided by 2, I end up with 3. And when I do 4 divided by 2, I end up with 2. Alright, now on my final step, I'm going to multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. Looking at my bottom, I have 2 times 4 is 8. My answer is 3/8. I cannot simplify that any more than what I've already done. So this is how you divide fractions. Go ahead and watch this video as many times as it takes. It's a pretty simple process.